Everyone wants to be a champion, to hold the trophy above their head as the confetti falls down. But a champion's journey begins long before game day.
You guys want to be number one. Where do you want to end up the season? And everybody put up, we want to be number one. And he said, you know what, I've asked that question to every team that I talk to, and nobody ever says they want to end up number 4. Everybody wants to be number 1.
Of course.
All right, then on this big screen, he puts this tiger, like a ferocious looking tiger. And he said, everybody wants to be the beast, but everybody doesn't want to do what the beast does. I thought that was a great analogy. All right, you want to be number 1, but you don't want to do the things you have to do to be number 1.
Sure.
If we want to win the game of life on and off the field, the journey begins now, while your competition is hitting the snooze button.
Part of that too is embracing what comes with being a beast. So embracing the fact that, man, you're gonna hear those naysayers, embracing the fact that, man, you're gonna sometimes be in a position where you're working hard and you're not seeing the results. Embracing the fact that, man, sometimes those fans aren't gonna even believe that you have what it takes. You're gonna hear, jokes, and you're gonna have memes written about you. If you're not willing to put up with that, then you don't, in my opinion, you don't deserve to be in that position.
It's time to recommit to the journey to become our personal and professional best.
It's not the will to win. It's do you have the will to prepare?
Right.
Right?
Do the work.
Everybody on game day wants to win. It's absurd that we say it. Come on, have the will to win. No, have the will to embrace the sucky hard times, 6 months before. But on game day, when the lights are on in front of 90,000, who wants to lose?
No one.
Nobody. But that's not the difference maker. It's not on game day. The difference maker is when your first game's on September 3rd. What about last February?
What were you doing?
What were you doing?
What were you doing?
Were you willing to get up early? Were you willing to embrace the grind? Were you willing to have the same focus, intensity, and grind on that morning at 6 a.m. that you would in the national championship game?
In his book, Training Camp, What the Best Do Better Than Everybody Else, Jon Gordon, the best-selling author of The Energy Bus, provides a playbook that every champion must embrace. It's time to go to training camp. Jon Gordon!
What's happening?
How you doing? Great to finally meet you in person, right? We met during the Zoom COVID period, right? And we went to work together immediately. And I knew I was gonna really, really, really enjoy my relationship with you, because the first time I talked to you, we talked about our wives, we talked about our families, we talked about sports a lot. And then we talked about the thing that really drives both of us, which is our faith.
Yeah.
And then we talked about professionally, while I'm in the mortgage banking business and you write books, but what we really try to do is we try to help people get better in life. And so we did the Energy Bus first, which is one of my favorite books, and a lot of other people apparently as well. We did the no complaining rule, so we could teach people that it's not a good idea to be complaining in life, right? And then in the midst of all the adversity, especially going on in our business today, I thought it would be an amazing time to sit down together and to talk about training camp.
Love it. Let's do it.
Right? In the spirit of best, what the best do better than everybody else. So I know that you specifically, right, that you focus all of your energy and time on making a difference in the lives of other people. So thanks for being back on our program.
Good to be with you. I love what you do, and I love how you make everyone better.
So we're here in Jacksonville, Florida, right? This is home of the biggest cocktail party, world's biggest cocktail party ever. That takes place in October every year when the University of Florida, the Gators, they show up and play the best. For a Bama fan to give that up, not so easy, but they play the best, the Georgia Bulldogs. But the stadium's empty today. It's March. And what I know is that the players are someplace preparing right now, right? Because they want to be the best in what they do, and they want to be the best next year. So, and as fans, Florida fans, Georgia fans, we're hoping they're doing everything they need to be doing right now. And we're hoping they're training and they're eating right, staying out of trouble, doing all the things right, so that when they show up here in October 28th, next year, there's 70,000 fans, and we all get what we want. Sure, players play well. You know what's interesting is that our fans, our family, our friends, our teammates in business, they're all doing the same thing that we as fans do. They're cheering for both of us. So today, you're gonna coach us. All right, Coach? We're gonna go through the process. You laid out 11 traits, the best you've studied, do better than everybody else. And when I read it, I felt like the book was a relatively simple set of ideas, but then, being the best is simpler than people want to make it. They just have to have the discipline to do it. So let's go to work. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. The first trait, the best know what they truly want. Talk to us about that.
You first have to know what it is you truly want. What is your vision? What is it that you want to create? What is it that you want to build? When you know it and you see it, you will work to create it. So often people don't know what they want, or they don't know their vision. They haven't thought about it. But once you have that vision, you can actually work towards it. So a vision is essential for your life. I know that your vision for your business, for your life, helped you create the life that you have right now.
That's right.
For me, I wanted to be a writer and speaker. That was my vision. I wanted to impact people, as many people as possible, one person at a time. So through all the adversity, all the challenges, all the setbacks, all the rejections, I kept moving forward towards that vision because I had it in my mind. I knew what I was working towards, and it was that vision that kept me going through every obstacle and setback. So once you know your why, and you know that why and that vision of where you're going and why you're going there, you will know the way. And you're not going to let obstacles get in the way. It's like marathon runners. Most marathon runners do not quit in the first mile because you're just getting started, and they don't quit in the last mile. They don't quit in the last mile because why? Because they can see the end. They're almost there. They see the end. Most quit in the 20th mile. That is where they're physically tired and then mentally drained. They lose their vision, so they stop moving forward. So I always say, keep your vision alive, and it will keep you alive. Right now in this marketplace, right now in this economy, keep your vision alive. What is it that you want to create? And you will continue to work to create it.
It's such a simple idea, but when I talk to people and ask them about exactly what we're talking about, what do they truly want? What's their definition of success in life? I rarely get someone who's specific in return.
Right.
I ask people all the time, that's why we did this program. Do you want to be your personal professional best? Well, of course I do. I want to be my best at home, and I want to be in the workplace everywhere. But then when you ask them about specifically, what does that look like? People just haven't taken the time. So what you're basically challenging people with the first trait is take the time to really identify what you really want. And I would just encourage people not to want money, cars, houses,
right.
But think about what you own, the talent you have, and about how to use that talent to benefit others.
And let's drill down. You got this telescope and microscope. That's in the book Training Camp.
Yep.
Telescope is my big picture vision of what I want to create, but you've got to zoom focus. What do I do each day to zoom focus, to create the vision and the picture I have in my mind? See, if you just have the big picture, but not the zoom focus, you're dreaming all the time, but you're not taking action. And then if you zoom focus all the time, but you don't keep the big picture alive, you're going to get tired, you're going to get drained, and you're going to forget your why and your vision along the way. So it's actually both on this journey. Like, okay, big picture, I know what I want to create, but what do I need to do today to realize that? And I really believe it's specific actions. It's also getting really clear of what success looks like. You have to identify what winning today means to you. Like for me, it means getting better every day, staying positive, and encouraging others. Those are my three. So every day, get better, stay positive, encourage others. If I do that, it's a win. What is your win as you move forward? What is your vision?
Love it. Second trait, the best, they want it more.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah. It's not just about this vision I have, but do you really want it more? And what actions are you taking to show that you want it more? There has to be a desire there. There has to be this passion. There has to be this care that I'm not just showing up to be a carpenter to build something. I'm here to be a craftsman, to create a work of art, to create a masterpiece. And so every day I'm putting my time, my energy, my effort, my sweat, my tears, my years to create what I truly want to build. And you see it, the best really have more desire.
They do.
And they truly care more about what it is they're creating, what it is they're building. I love the story of Donatello during the 1500s. He received a 3-ton marble block of stone, and he looks at the stone. He sees all the flaws and all the cracks. He says, send it back to the UPS drivers of the day. They're like, we can't take it back. It's 3 tons. They have an idea. Michelangelo lives down the street. Let's bring it to him. He was known to be absent-minded, so he won't even remember he never ordered it. They bring him the stone. He sees all the flaws, all the cracks, but he decides to do something with it. He thought it'd be a great challenge to his craftsmanship to see what he can build. And out of that 3-ton marble block of stone, he would go on to create the statue of David.
Amazing.
One of the greatest, most valuable art treasures of all time. Think about that. He saw what was possible, but he had to care more. He had to have more desire, more passion to ultimately create what would become this masterpiece.
Because it probably took a minute or two to
I would say just a minute.
to change that stone, right?
Right.
You know, on the way over here today, I rewatched Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe, who was one of the all-time, GOATs. And I watched Nick Saban and him talk.
Yeah.
I mean, these are two of the greatest of all time. And the exchange was just an amazing, best exchange. And Nick said, Coach Saban said, everybody wants to be the beast, but not everybody wants to do what the beast does, which is there's sacrifice involved. The people that are the best, they want it more, and they're willing to sacrifice what's necessary to get it.
Yep. Are you willing to wake up every day and serve and sacrifice and commit? In this area, I truly believe that you have to have a vision of what you want to achieve, but you have to have a greater commitment. Commitments are greater than goals. So this is training camp. I was in a locker room with a football team. I had them write down their goals. Said, now rip it up. Like, what? We just wrote down our goals. You don't rip up our goals. Rip them up. Then I had them write down their commitments. Why? Because I said, everyone has goals right now written down in locker rooms all across the country. It was during training camp.
Right. That's right.
Everyone has the same goals. So will your goals take you to where you want to go? No. Your commitment will.
Right. What you do every single day, every single moment. One of the other things that Coach Saban told me is that he talks to 4 or 5 stars, asks them what they want. And when they tell him, then he asks them back, well, then why are you spending 2 hours a day on social media, on video games? Make sure you're focusing what you want and doing the things that are necessary to get it.
When I had those guys write down their commitments, it was incredible. I want to spend more time in recovery. I want to eat better because my body breaks down. I'm going to spend more time in the film room. Now you'll work towards your goals. So now more than ever, you got to talk about what you're committed to. You got to want it more, and you got to take the actions necessary to create the goals you have.
Got it. I love it. All right, let's go to trait number 3. All right. The best are always striving to get better.
Yep. They're never complacent. They're not satisfied with the status quo. The minute you think you've arrived at the door of greatness, it will get slammed in your face. They are humble and hungry. How can I learn? How can I improve? How can I get better? I'll never forget speaking at a leadership conference. Who's in the front row? Zig Ziglar. Couldn't believe it. Ran over to Zig. Zig, one of the big goals of my life was to meet you. Zig said, you need to have bigger goals.
I met him.
Yeah.
He was amazing, man.
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
So here I am now speaking. Zig's taking notes. Not because I was up there. Anybody could have been up there. He would have been taking notes. At 82 years old, 82, lifelong learner, still learning, still growing, still striving to get better. And when I work with the best of the best, and I do, I work with the best of the best in the business world and also in the sports world. The greatest athletes of our time, I know those guys. They're always striving to get better. The best coaches are never happy where they are. They're always looking for the edge. How can I improve? How can I get better? Eric Spoelstra, a good friend of mine with the Miami Heat.
Love him.
I mean, but always looking for the next thing. He'll call me up. All right, what do you got? What's the next thing? What should I be thinking about? What are you talking about lately that no one else is talking about? And I'm always sharing new ideas, new innovative thoughts, new ways to get the team stronger, get the team better. And it's incredible because the best are not happy and they're not willing to stay there. The best teams, same way.
Yep.
The best teams challenging each other. They challenge each other to grow and get better.
You know, everybody knows me knows I'm an Alabama fan. I'm also a big Georgia fan.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm a fan mostly of excellence.
Yeah.
Best when I see it. And when Alabama beat Notre Dame 2014 for the national championship, 1 o'clock in the morning, you have to be an Alabama fan to still be up. Okay. They're giving the trophy to Coach Saban, and the gal who was interviewing him, I don't think she meant to, but she said, "How long will you enjoy this?"
Yeah.
And he said, "About an hour." And the next day in Atlanta, he lands in a helicopter.
Yeah.
Okay, at Harrison High School to recruit a kid. And you're thinking, so you got back to Tuscaloosa, then you got on a plane, then you got on a helicopter, and it's the next season's already started. So the best are always striving to get better.
I work with Clemson football, Dabo Sweeney for the last 12 years. I go visit Dabo. I'm speaking to the team during training camp. This is such a great story. He says, you want to go for a run? I'm like, sure, let's go for a run. I'm thinking mile, 2 miles. 4 miles later, we are running towards 5 miles. I'm like, are you kidding me? And Dabo is running hard the entire time. So you're running with Dabo, you got to keep it up.
And you're not stopping?
No, I haven't. I have to. I cannot. He's striving to get better. I got to get better. The last 100 yards, what does he do? Sprints, just like he does on the field every single time. This is really who he is, right? Always striving to get better. Sprinting that last 100 yards, I sprinted with him, and man, I couldn't even walk the next day.
Listen, I'm not going to make any fans with the Clemson group right now, but would you tell him next time you talk to him that folks in Alabama would really like him to consider when the GOAT does decide to move on, that maybe he goes back home?
He's not going to replace the GOAT, but maybe one day he might replace the guy who replaces the...
Maybe, right. All right, let's go to trade number 4 if we can, right? The best do ordinary things better than everyone else.
When Vince Lombardi had a 4-day clinic during his day, he actually devoted 2 full days to the power sweep. 2 full days to one play because he was so focused on the fundamentals of that play. If they can execute that the right way, he knew that would be unstoppable. They'd be a great team. They would win because of that one play. So when he was teaching it, it was all the little nuances, all the ordinary things, but executing them in a fundamental way to allow them to be great. The Utah Jazz, when they had great success during their peak years, they had a culture of execution. They had basically a few plays. That was it. A few plays that Stockton and Malone executed to perfection. It's always about doing the ordinary things with extraordinary focus and commitment and getting it so right that you actually excel and you become unstoppable with it. I also think of In-N-Out Burger. They're one of my clients from a business standpoint. They're so focused on their hamburgers. Like, that's it. You can't make a hamburger unless you work there for a year.
Wow.
You can't even touch it. I asked them, hey, would you ever do chicken? They said, what? Are you kidding me? No way would we do chicken. Like we'd get away from our focus, which we'll get to next. That would get away from our focus and what we're here to do and what we do great. So no, we will never do chicken. It will compromise the quality of our hamburger.
Well, if you think about Georgia, right, the last 2 years, and they won 2 national championships in a row, and you go, what is Georgia? Georgia's defense. That doesn't mean they didn't have an exceptional offense, but they focus, laser focus on suffocating teams because they do the thing on defense. They just keep you off the scoreboard, which is the ordinary thing, you know, like, what do you want to do? You want to keep the other team from scoring. I once upon a time heard about John Wood and what they did at famous, probably the winningest coach ever, right? Yeah. So celebrated. And the first practice, what did they do?
He taught his players how to tie their shoes because if they didn't tie their shoes right, they would get blisters. If they got blisters, they couldn't play well, so it would affect their performance. So he went back to the basics, the fundamentals of, let me teach you how to tie your shoes so you don't get blisters, so you can actually be healthy and perform at a higher level. Talk about fundamentals.
Yeah, and in business, one of my good friends, Horst Schulze, always talks about, customer service, which is the business that we're in. Yeah. We're in the mortgage industry, but we're in the service business. And one of his 3 principles, it's defect-free, on time, and the third principle is be nice. And you go, well, yeah, but a lot of people just aren't very nice, and yet they're selling their service to another human being. When you think about it, Horst, in very simple terms, took 3 things: defect-free, on time, and be nice. So when you step back and you look at the very best in any field, they always do the ordinary things exceptionally well.
You have to identify what your strengths are, what you want to be known for, and then from those characteristics, you work on those characters, you develop them, you become stronger with them, and then that's what the world sees.
So our business is people move on a specific day. So you have a full-time job, life, and then you have a full-time job buying a home and getting a home loan. And the day that you're closing, the money has to be there because this whole thing is consolidating into one moment.
Right.
And so our whole business focus is close every transaction on time, every single time, because that's the single most important thing we do. Get the ordinary things, right? Close on time, which everybody says, of course, that's the most important thing, but get it right every single time. Do that, and you could build a great brand.
Isn't that amazing? I have books. I write books. So I have a publisher.
How many have you written now?
27 books. So they've sold 5 million copies. But here's the thing. There are times when I'll come out with a book and we don't have enough books to sell to the public because we run out. I tell my publisher, you have one job.
Make
one
sure
job.
you don't run out of books.
Make sure we have enough books. That is your job. Always make sure that you're doing the job that you are meant to do, right? And do it well.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so let's go to trade number 5. We're at the 2-minute warning because we're going to do training camp, what the best do better than everybody else. We're going to do it not only in the month of March, but we think it's so important, so profound in terms of people becoming their best in life, at home and in the workplace, that we're going to have a second show next month.
Love it.
With Jon Gordon on training camp. So, and by the way, if you haven't bought the book, I strongly encourage you buy this book, okay? It's an easy read and you'll love it. It's fabulous. But we're at the 2-minute warning, then we'll go to halftime. Trait number 5. The best Zoom focus.
Yep. We talked about that earlier. You got to identify those key fundamentals that are key to your business, and then you Zoom focus on them. So for me, I'm a writer and I'm a speaker. Well, guess what? If I want to write a book, I got to get up every morning and I have to write. If I allow the distractions to get in the way, social media, email, and so forth, I can't write. And then the minute I can't write, I'm done for the day. If I do that day in and day out, those distractions will keep me from being my best and creating the work that I'm here to create. And so you have to tune out distractions. Distractions are the enemy of greatness. That's a really key point. They're the enemy of greatness. Realize there are distractions in your life.
Squirrel.
Right. Identify what those distractions are. Right. And then make sure that you don't allow them to keep you from being your best. And then Zoom focus on what is it that I need to do today in order to be successful. And always do first things first. C.S. Lewis said that. You do first things first, then all the other things will expand and grow. So I can look at my life now and I can actually look back and realize that the life I now live, the work I get to do, being here with you is the result of sitting down every day in the morning, in the dark, and not being distracted and actually choosing wisely and doing what matters most. And then doing that day in and day out, I would then write a book and create a book, and that created my life. So each day you get up in this market, good economy, bad economy, whatever it is, you got to focus on what matters most. Then after that, play after that, but do what matters most today.
How many books have you written?
27 books.
And you have another one coming out?
Right.
Coming up.
That'll be my 28th, comes out in June. It's called The One Truth.
Yeah. So, when we first engaged today, and we really got an opportunity to have a little fun talking, you were so excited about that next book.
Yeah.
And that's, everything we've talked about so far, what the best do better than everyone else, right? You are embodying it. You're living it yourself. So the one truth is you're able to share the truth about training camp and everything that's going on because you're actually living it in your life. So we are going to break. We're going to go to halftime. And what happens at halftime, right?
Yeah.
For those that are watching, some of you know because you're sports fans like we are. But at halftime, the players, coaches, they talk about adjustments they're going to make. Think about your life metaphorically right now, about adjustments that you could make based on what you've just heard between now and the next time we meet you. This is what we will challenge you to do. First of all, read the book.
Yep.
Don't you think?
Oh, I think if they read the book, it will benefit them.
Yeah.
Damian Lillard read it twice before his rookie season
I love it.
to remind himself how hard he would have
Is
to
he
work.
paying you royalties now?
No.
Because he just laid up like 71
I know,
points.
incredible, right? But he embodies everything that I wrote about.
I love
He
it.
said it changed the trajectory of his career and ultimately the kind of player he would be and what he would want to ultimately do and vision he had because he said, I've got to get better. I'm good, but if I want to be great, I've got to do these fundamental things. And guess what? This translates to business in a huge way.
Every way. Listen, so Damon, he's amazing. One of the best basketball players ever. He read the book. Read the book. And then decide specifically really your destination. What do you really want? Because this is what Jon just encouraged us in the traits. You got to want it more. Once you decide actually what specifically you want, you will want it more. And then strive every single day to go get it. And then the best, they always do the ordinary things. So think about it. The things that are simple, the little things, the phone rings, answer it. The little things, be nice to your customers. And then live every day with Zoom focus. Maybe 2 hours a day on social media isn't the best way to focus your time. Jon, it's halftime. We'll see you back for the second half.
I'm going to go recharge right now.